Blimey, Harry, didn't you ever wonder where your mum and dad learned it all?
Learn what?
You're a wizard, Harry.
With social media nowadays, I feel like the word generational is tossed around a little bit too much when we're talking about athletes. But when you look at Travis Hunter, I truly feel like he embodies exactly what it means to be a generational type of athlete. We've seen two-way stars in the game of football like Jabril Peppers or Deion Sanders, his head coach, but we've never seen it done to this extent. I mean, I think in the last game, he only missed 2 snaps. I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet that said he played 114 of the 116 snaps, something crazy like that. 7 receptions, 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't care who the hell it was against. You'll see haters on Twitter saying like, oh, it was against accountants and Uber Eats drivers and bullshit like that. Who cares? He missed only 2 snaps and had 3 touchdowns. What are we doing? I don't understand why people try and downplay that. The amount of endurance necessary to pull this off. Look, he could have done it last year. It's not like the injury he suffered was from, wear and tear of the body. The injury he suffered was from, let's call it what it is. It was a dirty hit. Until I see a wear and tear injury on his body, I'm going to believe that he's capable of it. I'll see some tweets where a lot of players are like, where a lot of former players will say, hey, at the next level, he can't do this, or you're setting him up for failure, XYZ, basically saying that it's impossible. But with Travis, I mean, through all the research I've done about him, and if you follow him on social media, you kind of know he's all business. He's very funny on TikTok and he streams and stuff like that for sure, but this is all he cares about. And we need to stop trying to put boxes on athletes like this, because everywhere he's gone and everything he's done has been about being outside of the box or standing out and just being different. And this dude literally is just a different breed. So I've made a video in the past talking about how I think Travis Hunter is a better corner than wide receiver. And although I still stand by that, I also saw somebody say, hey, the highest paid wide receiver makes about 32 million, 30 million a year. The highest paid corner makes about 24 million. I think Patrick Surtain just signed for that today. I hear that. I definitely get that perspective. But I think now I'm starting to lean more and more into the realm of like, well, what would the highest paid two-way player, the only two-way player in the league, get paid? I mean, can you make the argument that he'd be worth 40, 45 million if he's your number 1 wide receiver and number 1 corner? I don't know. And I'm not even sure if that's possible. I just know that this kid just seems to prove everybody wrong every time, and he seems to be made of something different in here. So I could see it happening. I wouldn't be super surprised. And maybe he's not your number 1 wide receiver, but why can't he be your number 2 or number 3 wide receiver and then your number 1 corner? I think it's possible, and I hear what people are saying. I definitely hear, trying to get him to pick one side. I understand. I get it. But I just think we should run this experiment to the very end to see, what are the limits? How far can somebody go? I keep saying it, but with Travis, he's just the perfect experiment because he does seem to be made of something different.
Honestly, that's who he is. You talk about the kindest, nicest kid, no smoking, no drinking. All he wanted to do was spend time with his girlfriend and fish and put on that onesie. And
there's plenty of examples that I could go to that will, show you that he's just a different human being. But when you look at, let's just look at the ESPN article to begin. He says, I don't like to party. I don't like to go out. I barely like talking to people sometimes. His trainer said it makes you excited to work with him because every inch and every ounce of him is dedicated to being a great athlete. Little things like that. This guy doesn't seem to really crave outside attention, crave clicks, and it's interesting because nowadays with NIL and college athletes almost being bigger than some professional athletes, it's rare to see somebody that just doesn't care. He lets his work do the talking. He's very focused on the goal. So obviously he's showing you, hey, I don't care about any outside noise. I only really care about getting better, being a good teammate, XYZ. And yeah, you hear some players say that, but then their actions say another thing. And I think with Travis, the thing that makes him special is that his actions line up with his words.
I was going to ask you, we haven't had a chance to speak to you so far. What are your goals for this year, and how do you feel about this season?
I got no personal goals. I mean, I just want my team to come out here and win every week, and I want us to go out there and just dominate, do our job. I mean, we got a target on us, man. We got to go out and win. We got to make a statement. We got to let everybody know we're here to stay. We're not here no mediocre teams. I mean, that's why I didn't want to talk to the media. I just want to go to work with my guys and let them know, wait, I'm here with y'all. Like, y'all got to have my back just like I got y'all back. Let's go in here and let's win.
You hear something like that, and you hear the implication that he hasn't spoken to the media all summer. Seems like maybe they've tried and he's just said no. Again, just little things like that are like, okay, this guy really doesn't care about outside, love. He really cares about being better, getting better, and the team. Bro, that's like everything you want to hear from an athlete nowadays, because like I said, because there's so many distractions: TikTok, brand deals, NIL. For a college athlete nowadays, distractions are at an all-time high. Clout chasers are at an all-time high. It's sad, to be honest, in some ways, and some athletes use it to their advantage, and I'm happy for them. Get your bag, do what you got to do. But these types of athletes are the ones that excite me the most, because they truly only care about the main thing. And then you go back to the article and they're talking about how ever since Travis was a junior in high school, he's watched hours and hours and hours of film. I think Dion and also the DB coach at Colorado can vouch for this. I'm pretty sure I've heard them say it in the past. But yeah, this guy also spends a bunch of hours watching film, trying to, get any possible advantage he can.
I watched 10 hours of film this week.
And then you combine that with the athletic gifts, it makes one of the best players in the country. So he has the mental determination to be one of the best athletes of all time, but your body doesn't hold up the way Travis's does unless you have some physical God-given gifts. And when you look back at the ESPN article, they interviewed Dr. Marcus Elliott. He was a injury prevention specialist for the New England Patriots. He went on to say that certain athletes naturally have more glycogen and creatine phosphate in their body, the energy source for short-term explosive exercise. And although Elliott hasn't done labs with Hunter, he thinks Hunter excels not only because of his athleticism, but because of an exceptional energy substrate that allows him to bounce back. And then he goes on to say what stands out most is that athletes who excel in recovery are not the most powerful or the most explosive. In track terms, they're the distance runners, not the sprinters. But then he says he's not playing corner and wide receiver unless he's a 100-meter guy. So it's rare to have someone who also has those energy system components. You can only train them to their capacity. They're not crazy adaptable beyond that. So if he wasn't born with some gifts on the energy system side, he'd be a liability. So he's basically saying if Travis didn't have these physical God-given gifts, he would not be able to hold up the way he does. And in my opinion, that's what makes him a generational athlete. I feel like that is the definition of a generational athlete. You combine the determination with just unexplainable God-given gifts, and you get some of the best athletes of all time. I mean, I remember when the whole thing was going on with the boxer in the Olympics, it started this whole conversation about athletes that just have biological advantages, and they started talking about Michael Phelps. He has double jointed elbows and knees, a hyperextended thorax, and 50% less lactic acid production than the average competitor. That is literally just God-given. He's got the determination. He wants to be the greatest of all time. And then somehow, some way, it all just lines up perfectly. The stars align to make one of the best athletes we've ever seen. I think we're seeing the same thing happen with Travis. And while we're on the topic of just the stars feeling aligned, it is insane that his head coach is Deion fucking Sanders, one of the best corners of all time, one of the most notable two-way players ever, all while simultaneously playing professional baseball for the Atlanta Braves. It's not like he was, the number one wide receiver for the Cowboys, but they definitely had a package. I mean, you go on YouTube, you can find Deion Sanders offensive highlights. This is the perfect person to learn from if you're Travis Hunter. And that in and of itself was insane. The fact that he chose Jackson State as the number one player in high school. Like, bro, do you understand how different you have to be in here to make that decision and choose to go to an HBCU as the number one player in your class? Like, everything he's done and everything he's shown us is just that he's cut from a different cloth. And it excites me because it makes me feel like there are no limitations that you can put on this kid. It's crazy because you look at the baseball side of things and they have their own two-way star who can pitch and hit at a super, super high level. Obviously, I'm talking about Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he's on pace, I think, for the first ever 50 home run, 50 stolen base season. Baseball fans, if there's any baseball fans listening, I apologize if I'm wrong. I'm not super well versed in that world, but yeah, he's generational in his own sense. I feel like all baseball fans, you talk to them, they'll say, man, this guy's probably the best player to ever live. I'm not saying that that's the case with Travis, but I'm just saying, why not be open to the realm of that possibility, right? I'm not saying that he's going to be the, play 120 snaps at the next level, but I just like the idea of not putting, any limitations, because when you look at Travis, he has a similar makeup where it's just like, bro, there's just something different about this guy that we've never seen before. And I'm not mad at the idea of people saying, hey man, his body can't hold up. I get that, you know, and there's definitely going to be a learning curve, because I also saw in that article that Travis doesn't eat super well, or he doesn't eat a bunch, and you know, he likes gummy bears before games and stuff. And like, yeah, you can get away with that at the college level, at the high school level. Maybe, you know, I've seen DK Metcalf say that he only eats like what is it, Skittles or Sour Patch and like McDonald's every day, something crazy like that. He's also, you know, showing you you know, it's possible to do that, but it's not. If you want to be a two-way player, if you want to play 90 snaps at the next level, 80 snaps at the next level, you need to really take care of your body. So there's definitely going to be a learning curve there, but he's young, and I feel like it'll happen. Obviously he'll get to a point where it's like, all right, gotta hire a private chef. I feel like every athlete goes through that like learning curve. You look at LeBron, he said he reached a point where he's like, all right, I gotta eat better. Recovery is going to be massive for Travis. If he has these aspirations at the next level, he's going to need to learn to be super in tune with just eating right, sleeping right, all of that. Novak Djokovic, best tennis player of all time, talks extensively any chance he gets about how important that is for an athlete's longevity. So he'll definitely have to get that right. But I mean, why not? Like, I've given you all the reasons why this guy can just be different and is different and can be one of the all-time greats, one of the 1% of the 1%, you know, Hall of Famer type of player. All I know is I'll be rooting for Travis to be the best athlete he can possibly be, because I feel like he's the perfect role model for young athletes to look up to. If you're a young athlete watching this video by chance, please look at what this guy does off the field, on the field, as a teammate, on social media, the way he carries himself. It's possible to still have fun and still be super serious at the same time. It's possible to still, you know, post things on TikTok, on Instagram, but not be so caught up in it, you know? So I think it's super important for Travis and athletes like him to be big time, because it sets a different type of standard for the best of the best. You get what I'm saying? So I definitely am rooting for him, wishing for the best, and I don't see why not. I don't see why he can't be one of the best athletes of all time, or be considered one of the best athletes of all time. If you're a young athlete, these are the type of guys you should aspire to be like, and don't let anybody put any limitations on you and who you can be, as long as you're putting your mind and your full focus, dedication on the main thing. And Travis embodies all of it.